Monster Mile will once again make its return on Green Flag TV. It has chewed up quite a few cars and trucks over the last few weeks. And well, now it gets set to get some of that older, more seasoned meat and metal into its guts as we get set to send the High Tide Racing League Embrace Designs Cup Series through to Dover Motor Speedway. Good afternoon, one and all, and welcome to Green Flag TV. My name is Ola Rempel alongside Josh Baird. We're bringing you all the action here tonight from this 1 mile concrete facility. Josh, we were just talking about the challenges of this track and about how unique it is in comparison to so many other tracks on the venue, and it is going to be a fun show here tonight.
I am so ready for these guys to take these amazing Gen 4 cars around this Monster Mile. It's going to be a handful for these guys as they have so much power that they're going to have to try and manipulate to get around this track. I know that with the banking and the transition from the deep turns to the flat straightaways, that it's going to be tough for them to handle. And I think we're going to be in for a treat to see these guys try and muscle these cars around the track.
Qualifying is very much underway as it stands here from the Monster Mile. We take a look at the point standings entering racing action here this evening. Nick Nickerson currently on the points lead with Benjamin Lacey just 3 points back in that number 2 spot. Of course, Scott Schuer only 6 points out as well. Right now, you've got the top 4 separated by only 10 points and the top 5 separated by a mere 12. 9 races in, that's no easy feat. And so far, very few drivers in the repeat win column in the second season of competition.
This is probably going to be a season for the history books for these guys. It's just been so tight throughout this competition. I think a lot of these guys just learning how these Gen 4 cars work, and the competition between all of these guys have been really good so far this season. Like you mentioned, Nick Nickerson, the only person to have more than 1 win so far this season. And so I think it's really led to some amazing races, and I'm very excited to see who's going to be on top of the podium tonight.
Of course, Nick Nickerson's 2 wins have both come at tracks that are a mile and under, Phoenix and Richmond. So if ever there's going to be a racetrack where we could be seeing him get that 3rd win, it would be here at the Monster Mile. But it is a very high-speed facility as well. That's something that I don't think gets touched on all that much, right? I mean, for a 1 mile track, there is a lot of banking on this circuit, and it doesn't help that a lot of the track is, of course, banked at a huge degree, even on the straights. That's why they call this a self-cleaning racetrack. Pit road tonight, if we get green flag pit stops, I think it'll be a huge challenge for drivers. They're going to have to be pitting in at turn 3. Pit speed only 35 miles an hour here. Not an easy speed to hit when you're ripping around here at about 160 plus.
It's going to be tough for these guys to be able to pull off. And the other thing that has been amazing about High Tide Racing League so far this season is all the green flag racing. So green flag pit stops are very much a possibility for this league tonight. And I think that these guys, I hope they really got their practice in during their practice time to test out that green flag stop, because otherwise they are going to be hurting if they cannot get that nailed down.
It's a pit speed that you see at a track like Martinsville, but at a track where you're going triple the speed. So it'll be fun to see how all of that's going to pan on out here this evening. As meanwhile, we'll get ourselves wrapped up with qualifying. And with that, it is about high time that we take a rundown for your starter grid to show you how everything is going to line on up when we duke it out. 150 laps around the 1.5 mile concrete behemoth. So then, as we get set to see how everything's going to pan on out, starting on pole position here this afternoon, it is going to be Benjamin Lacey in that Real Earth Films Dodge Charger alongside Michael Thorpe Jr. for GGA Esports. Tony Hilbert for Hill Brands Motorsports is in 3rd place, with Nick Nickerson down in 4th. Kevin Foster is in 5th, with Dustin Ping for Blackhawk Motorsports in 6th. Dalton Kilmer for MFRD is in 7th, and Connor Gibson rounds out the top half of the field.
Scott Schuer in 9th place tonight with Zachary Wareham in 10th. Sean Williams is going to start in 11th tonight with Brian Dees 12th. Jason Greenwell in 13th. Ty Marasco in 14th. And guys not putting down times tonight is going to be Steve Ulrich, Michael Ashmore, and Mike Massengill.
quick gritting period tonight. Everybody wanted to get up and running. You wonder if maybe all the wind going on outside, a lot of the folks of these guys' home is maybe telling them to pick up the pace a little bit. I know that you've got a watch going on yourself. As I understand, the Hillbrands may have a warning going on in their area, so we're not sure if we're going to be seeing Tony Hillbrands making the full race this afternoon. But we are wishing, of course, those folks well, wherever they may happen to be, and hope that we'll be able to weather that storm and keep things rolling forward. And we can continue to have this great race in action here this afternoon. But for Benjamin Lacey, he's going to work our way into turn numbers 3 and 4. And as always, we are happy that you guys are joining us here on a beautiful Monday night as we get set to duke it out for green flag racing action around one of NASCAR's oldest circuits. The pace car is down and into pit road as we'll enter the Geico restart zone. Green flag is out. It's go, go, go for the Monster Mile. Mike Thorpe Jr. takes the lead away from Lacey on lap number 1. He leads the opening lap, while the rest of the pack is single filed out for the most part, just a little ways behind.
A little bit over a half or under a half a second for Thorpe over Lacey right now. I think they're just trying to get out there and get used to being around other cars on the track, as we got Zachary Wareham down on the inside of Gibson.
Wareham takes away the 6th place position from Connor Gibson, and that leaves us now single file all the way throughout the entirety of this battle pack. Tony Hillbrands hangs on to 3rd from Nick Nickerson, the only 2-time winner so far of season number 2. And further back in the pack, nobody looking to make any kind of moves in position just yet. This is going to be a race tonight where passing is a premium, as everybody at this point racing the racetrack instead of each other.
Yeah, this is a tough track to tame for sure, especially with these older cars and not much grip for them to have to deal with. So they have a problem with the cars wanting to get loose throughout the night tonight, as we see Dustin Ping looking down to the inside of Nick Nickerson. Nick Nickerson closes the door as they come out of turn number 4, but I think he might get a little bit of a run going here. Maybe try and squeeze that nose in under turn 1, but no, he's going to go ahead and pass up that opportunity once again.
So 3rd through 7th right now are the closest battle pack on the racetrack. Everybody else further behind starting to break apart for the most part in this field. You see everybody very much running single file. Nobody looking to make any kind of aggressive looks for position just yet. So right now, it is all up for the battle for the lead. Dustin Ping to the inside of Nick Nickerson. That forces that 2-car into that unfavorable outside groove at the 81, tracking low down the back straightaway.
81 getting anxious to get around Nick here. Let's see if he can use this lower line to gain an advantage through the corner. As they come out of turn number 4, it looks like Tony Hillbrands is now coming under fire from Nick Nickerson as well, and Zachary Wareham's deciding to join the battle as those two get close.
Yeah, Wareham taking that one around the long way of Dustin Ping, as the 2-car, the Coors Light Mustang, will hang on down to the low side. Wareham breaks into the top 5. Most spots gained so far by far in the afternoon. Most drivers have only gained 1 spot in the day. He has gained 5.
Great job by Wareham. He must have had a situation in qualifying where he was not as quick as he is on his race pace. So he has a lot of room to make up if he thinks he's a little faster in the race, and it looks like so far he is. So hopefully he doesn't burn up those tires trying to chase down the leader here. If he can get settled in here, he might be able to do some tire conservation, but looks like Nick Nickerson's pulled off a little bit of a gap on these two behind him.
Further behind, Ty Marasco heads up the 2nd pack right now, down in 13th, all the way back to about last place on the racetrack. Greenwell, Ulrich, Messengill, and Ashmore run 14th through 17th. You can see how far up the track Michael Ashmore goes up in that turn 4, trying to get that run going down the front straightaway, as Dustin Ping trying to set him a pass around the long way of Zachary Wareham. Not going to make it happen coming down to the back straightaway, but there was certainly an effort. I think Ping's trying to see if he can work the momentum line instead of the more pinpoint apex line down to the bottom.
Yeah, I think Ping has actually got a little more speed than he wants, or that he can actually be able to deliver right now, just because the car's in front of him and the tough time that he's going to have passing. So I think Ping is actually probably going to be trying be a little more aggressive to try and get this spot back from Wareham, as Wareham gives it to him, but is right on his bumper to let him know that, hey, I'm right behind you and I'm willing to take that spot back. So Dustin Ping getting that spot for now, but we'll have to see if Wareham has any answers for that pass.
Zachary Wareham really closed in big time when Ping cut to the inside of turn 3. Wareham cut him a massive break down into the final couple of corners. Further up the road, Tony Hilbrand's being put under some fire as well. The Mopar Charger looking like he could be at risk of losing out to that number 2 car down the road. And all the while, Michael Thorpe Jr. has not been able to break away from Benjamin Lacey behind. These two drivers have remained tucked up line astern ever since the drop of the green flag, and Lacey is looking hungry for that race lead.
Yeah, Lacey's doing a good job of keeping right on Thorpe Jr.'s tail here, and I think Thorpe Jr. is appreciating that clean air, so he's probably going to want to try and keep Benjamin Lacey behind him for the time being, as Benjamin Lacey dives late into that apex, and that's probably about the fastest way around this track, is late apexing through turns 2 and turns 4 to be able to maximize your exit coming out of those corners.
Even further in the pack, Sean Williams and that number 89 machine trying to see if he can make a run on Dalton Kilroe, as Kilroe remaining up there in that 10th position. So the final spot in the top 10 is up for grabs as well. And further up the road, Scott Shore running a bit of no man's land all by himself. And, well, as I say that, Connor Gibson going the long way around Zachary Wareham to take that spot away in 3 and 4.
Great pass by Connor Gibson on the outside. Usually this early in the race, that high line does not track very well. But as these tires begin to wear, I think that high line is going to start coming into play.
Wareham was really far down on the racetrack, and you have to wonder if maybe Zachary Wareham had gotten loose out of that second corner, which is what allowed for Gibson to set up that pass as they now work down the front straightaway. Wareham has not been able to get that speed back, which tells me he may very well have smoked those tires off of turn 2. What allows for Connor Gibson to now be fully clear up in the front.
Yeah, that's another thing with this track, is the fact that the tire management is going to be key throughout here. So if you go too hard too early on in the stint, you're going to be playing catch up and trying to keep up with the competition in front of you for the rest of the race. So we'll have to see if Wareham is just recovering from maybe a loose moment and trying to cool off his tires for a bit, or if he went a little too hard early on.
All the while, Thorpe still running up with Benjamin Lacey at the head of this field as they track out of turn number 4 and down the front straightaway. And Hilbrand's has not shown any signs of wanting to give up the lead either, and it's a pair of Dodges now that lead the way. Challenger versus Charger. And at this point, you do have to kind of wonder who's going to come out on front here, as the UNOH machine looking like it's strong, but I think Lacey's biding his time.
That's a good call by Lacey. It's only 20 laps into a 150 lap race, so no reason to try and push your tires or push your car into a predicament that'll get you out of the race early. And another thing is there's a lot more mistakes that can be prone to happen here at Dover with how the track is laid out and how these cars handle this track. So if you can just wait and bide your time while your opponent's up there making mistakes, you can capitalize on a heavy mistake and get that free position on the track.
You saw Dustin Ping get around Nick Nickerson as well down in the turns 1 and 2 that last time by, was able to make a big pass for position there. As meanwhile, Zachary Wareham remains under fire, this time from Scott Shore. And that Fox Sporting Equipment number 4, what is it? It's not a Mustang, I don't think, is it? It is a Mustang. It's hard to tell sometimes with these Gen 4 bodies what kind of model they're running. Of course, the body templates are so different to what they actually ran back in the Gen 4 era, and in fact what they're running today as well almost look reminiscent of the ARCA cars before they switched to a Gen 6 body of the Gen 4 chassis. And down to the inside will go Schuer.
Schuer on the inside here. We'll see if he's able to pull it off. I don't know if Wareham appreciates that outside line, as we have a caution out.
And it is for Mike Messengill, who is sideways on the back straightaway and into the inside wall. Michael Thorpe Jr., your race leader, And was that another car that was stopped? It was. That is Mike. That was Mike Messengill. That was Mike Lashmore that we were looking at. My apologies, as Messengill again having that big moment on the back straightaway. Let's take a look back. He's right behind Steve Ulrich as he has. Oh, Ulrich got loose and nowhere to go for Messengill. Hard into the inside wall, and Ulrich looks like he took a hefty lick into the outside fence as well.
With these pointed noses, it's easy to get underneath the driver in front of you and just lift his rear end off the ground, and that's exactly what we saw here. And then straight to the inside wall. There's not much room for error at Dover because this is kind of a more narrow track, so straight to the inside wall for him.
And Ulrich just got tight off of turn 2 and then just got lifted. He tags the outside wall, but it's not too serious. I think he should be able to survive that without too much stress. Take one more look back at speed. Coming off of that second corner, and it's an easy mistake to make, and that's a hefty whack into the inside wall. And Ashmore did, in fact, manage to get around that whole mess without any stress, but that is why we are under caution now for the first time tonight. The entire field into pit road, save for Ty Marasco, who stays out on the racetrack. And Lacey going to be losing out. Nickerson taking fuel only, along with Kevin Foster and Dalton Kilroy, Sean Williams, Thorpe, the first driver out on fresh tires. He is going to be down, though, in 6th.
Yeah, what a shakeup that this pit stop made for these guys. So different strategy calls now, and we're going to have to see which strategy call ends up paying off for these guys. I know MFRD has been pretty good at the strategy calls so far this year. It's paid off for him many times. And then you see the likes of like Nick Nickerson and Tony Hillbrand's Benjamin Lacey also have made some good calls throughout the season. So we'll have to find out which call is going to pay off for these guys tonight.
25 laps into the 150 lap race this afternoon, as we continue behind the iRacing pace car under our first yellow flag here of the evening. When we return, it is the restart from the Monster Mile on Green Flag TV.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Getting set to go back to Green Flag Racing. We are working through turn numbers 3 and 4. Ty Marasco, your leader, he did not come down to pit road. Thorpe, the first driver, on fresh tires along with the back half of the field. Everyone else still on the tires that they started this race on. Green flag back in the air, and we're underway.
Nice jump by Ty Marasco there, but not good enough to get fully past Nick Nickerson. He got pretty far out there too on that jump, and it looks like Nick Nickerson actually might have the momentum coming out of turn number 2.
That outside line can be really, really powerful on this racetrack if you're able to get a good run going. That's the thing about these cars. You can really establish that run, especially if you're a guy like Thorpe with that fresh tires, as he is going to pull around the outside of Lacey, but gets the doors slammed shut in his face by Ty Marasco, looking for 3 wide down into turn 1, but there's no room for it.
Yeah, I think Thorpe's going to have a little bit of trouble here. This is the first time he's in traffic tonight, so we'll have to see how he can react to trying to get around guys to still be the fastest car out on the track. I know being that guy up in front and being single file is the best place you can possibly be here at Dover.
Thorpe going to get around Marasco and more as the rest of the field is single or double file coming off of that second corner. Lacey clears from Dalton Kilrow, and now Tony Hilbrands is going to jump to the inside. Hilbrands is also on fresh tires, so Thorpe's advantage with a lot of those has been supplanted by being used as a pick by drivers like Lacey and Hilbrands to get their own way to the front. Hilbrands, I think, has been taking the race lead within a couple laps here.
We're seeing right here what the quality of new tires are on this track just 31 laps in. It seems like there's a significant time difference between these guys, so it seems like the guys that took those fresh tires are really paying off right now.
Well, you know what they say, the favorite food of Miles the Monster is the taste of burning rubber, and that is why he loves to chew up tires for breakfast, lunch, dinner, and all the snacks in between. So Lacey making full advantage. He has sacrificed his first set of tires as an offering, and now he has blitzed his way to the front of the field, with Thorpe making that lunge for second around Hilbrands just behind.
Yeah, Nick Nickerson had a really decent lead just a couple of laps ago, and now he's dropped all the way back to 5th position. So seems like he's struggling a little bit now that he's back into traffic. Hopefully he can regain some of his composure and try and get some of those spots back, because he was second going into the first caution.
Even further behind, there's a lot of drivers still tucked up line of stern. Zachary Wareham on the backslide as Brian Dees will power around him. Wareham, of course, one of those drivers that did actually come on down for some fresh tires and is now trying to regain that composure and battle back to the field. There's a lot of discombobulation going on right here mid-pack, as there's a lot of folks in here that are on old tires and a lot of drivers on fresh tires trying to get around. And right now, Marasco through Kilbur are all on old rubber, and the drivers behind, like Dustin Ping, they're struggling to battle their way through.
That's a problem when you have a track that's tough to pass and you have new tires. It gets frustrating getting stuck behind those old tired guys, but you know you have the pace over them, but you just can't seem to find a way around them, as it looks like Ping did end up finding his way through there, as he's now up to 7th.
And now pressuring Nickerson for 6th will make an easy pass on him. The next driver in the sights will be that of Dalton Kilrow. Wareham, whoa, man, all over the back of Sean Williams, nearly ran him over, jumps to the inside of the number 89, and put Zachary Wareham onto the point of this battle for 10th.
Yeah, Zachary Wareham's dropped a few positions at this point, and Ty Marasco has now dropped a few positions, considering he was leading coming out the gate after this restart. So we'll have to see how these guys sort themselves out once again, since the pit stops seem to have shaken up the leaderboard a little bit.
Brian D is going to get around Kevin Foster, and meanwhile, Thorpe trying to pressure Benjamin Lacey for the race lead. Absolutely sent it into turn 1, tried to make a run around the outside, couldn't get there, but Thorpe is very much there, and he is not about to let Lacey run away with this lead.
Yeah, Lacey finally getting that clean air. I know he was patiently waiting behind Thorpe prior to that caution flag coming out. So now he's got that opportunity to hold it down himself. We'll have to see if Thorpe can be patient like Lacey was earlier on in the race, or if he's going to want to try and get that lead back. I know with it only being 39 laps into this race, that if I were Thorpe, I would just be riding smooth behind Lacey, because you'll have plenty of opportunities for either him to make a mistake or pass him some other strategic way as he looks to the inside going on turn number 1.
So he could look to do this strategically, but Thorpe is the type of driver that likes to take it in force. He wants to let you know that he's faster than you, and he is very much doing that right now as he tries to look to get around the inside of that Real Earth Films number 7 Dodge. Side by side, off of turn number 4 right now, Lacey's able to rip the high side to try to keep Thorpe behind with the momentum.
That second line looking like it's starting to come in on this track, so Lacey's able to keep alongside Thorpe, and Thorpe is probably getting a little frustrated at this point, hoping that he would have just succeeded that position, but Lacey's not going to give it up too quickly. I think he really enjoyed having that clean air after this last caution flag stint.
These two are a big jump away from Tony Hilbrands as well, who is right now 2 seconds behind this dueling pair, and they're actually pulling away from Hilbrands despite battling it out side by side. So these two right now are going full chap, but they are burning their tires up in doing so. Hilbrands able to save his tires just a little bit more with Connor Gibson running directly behind him. I almost mistook him for Kevin Foster for a hot minute as one of our resident Canadians almost getting confused from one of the Americans, and Thorpe into the side of Lacey that time by, and finally Benjamin Lacey wins out in the grudge match.
Good job by Lacey on holding his position to make sure that he could keep himself up on the top step of the podium so far. I know that Hilbrands was probably sitting there thinking, I hope that they could go the rest of this stint side by side because that'll give me a chance to catch them up on the tail end of this, but so far they've singled back out, and we'll have to see if Hilbrands can make up any time on these guys.
Look at Thorpe trying to settle the pass, top to bottom, trying to get the drive down the front straightaway, and looks for it down to the turn number 1. Lacey trying to shut the door. There's no room for the both of them down there on the inside line. Thorpe forces the door open. Contact coming off at 2.
Guys are checking each other's doors, and Thorpe seems to be sliding back in. I don't think he's going to be content for being back there too much longer, though, as he comes out of turn number 2, and he's looking like he's coming right up alongside the bumper of Lacey, looking to the outside now, but he's probably not going to have the momentum going through this corner. Maybe he's going to do a little over-under action on him coming out of 2. Still line to stern going down the back stretch.
I really like what Thorpe's doing here. He's really trying to use that outside lane to diamond off these corners. And look at the overspeed that he's able to get down the front straightaway on Benjamin Lacey. This is absolutely insane what he's able to do. And he's trying to look to the inside, but Lacey again slamming the door shut in his face, not allowing for Thorpe to get a single nose in, because he knows if they get alongside, Thorpe's likely to blitz by him.
Yeah, Lacey, I think, is really enjoying being at this point in the race. And the other thing is, too, is that you don't want to have to sit there and tail the guy behind you either. You like being in that clean air. So I think we're going to see a lot of defensive driving from Lacey to try and keep Thorpe behind him.
And again, look at the drive that Thorpe gets down the backstretch, sends it into turn number 3. Lacey goes up high, gives him that momentum, and they're going to be side by side once again as they work down in the turn numbers 3 and 4. Thorpe tried to now see if he can work that low lane to try to pull around the side of Lacey, but Lacey is not going to let him go, and they almost come together again off of 2.
Yeah, Thorpe is not giving him much room to work with here, and Lacey's not giving up much room either, so these guys have both their elbows out right now because both of them are really trying to get that lead taken away from the other. But we'll see as we go through turns 1 and 2 here to see who has that better line going through the corner. It seems like Lacey is really comfortable on that second or third line up there, and Thorpe is really enjoying that bottom line. And that's how they're able to even keep a gap on Hilbrands, because these are actually the lines that they're feeling comfortable with right now.
This time by, Thorpe had the nose ahead of it forward, but Lacey able to drag it back in front as they work down the front straightaway towards that opening corner. Thorpe still hanging on to the inside line while Lacey is all the way up by the wall. It's doing a good job of keeping that 34 at bay. Right now, we are seeing the sheer definition of unstoppable force meets immovable object, and I think you could tell who's who.
That is a good point that you bring up. Neither one of these guys really wanting to secede that position up on top of the podium right now. And Michael Thorpe Jr. still does not have a win on this season. So I think he's got a little chip on his shoulder to try and get that top step of the podium here tonight. And he's got the pace for it. But Benjamin Lacey's not going to let him get it easily, that's for sure.
Oh boy, Thorpe with a huge tank slap off turn number 4. Ty Marasco, during all of that, came down the pit road. So he is, of course, the first driver to make a run for green flag pit stops. But you mentioned Thorpe not having a win so far in the season. He has come very, very close. I think the closest he's ever been to a win was at Phoenix, right side by side with Nickerson for the lead on the final lap, but he lost it in the dogleg. I think that has got to be the mistake that Thorpe has been kicking himself the most over this season long. He should have had that win column all locked up in that, what was it, about the 4th race at the Phoenix Raceway. This is about the closest he's ever been to it ever since.
Yeah, it's crazy. Thorpe has been towards the top of the field just about every race, but man, every single time there's been some sort of contention, that incident or otherwise, that's just taken him out of the contention for the podium. He's got 0 top 5 so far this season as well, which is impossible for me to even comprehend, because I feel like every single race we're talking about him sitting at the top. But once again, incident after incident has led to his demise in an early finish. Whether his fault or not, he still hasn't had the opportunity to be able to talk to us post-race. So I think tonight might be the first night we'll get to see that from him.
It says a lot, right? The fact that Thorpe is go big or go home. And the one driver that really strikes me as being somewhat similar to that, Aaron Raymond in the TNGG IEL Truck Series. He was notorious for that in season number 4. He was a driver that either won a race or was DNFing out of the race. And it's the same situation, it feels like, for Thorpe. He should be much higher up in the points as he lunges back for the inside of Lacey. He should be higher, right? I mean, right now he sits 7th place in the points. Thorpe deserves to be higher than that. He has got the talent to be higher than that. The problem is he has not been able to put it together, and it looks like it just crumbles under pressure for him right when it matters. And we're hoping that the pressure will not get to him tonight. Back to the inside of Lacey for turn 1.
Here we go. It looks like, oh, he had a nice lunge entering in turn number 1, but it looks like Lacey got some momentum throughout that corner, so it keeps him side by side. But yeah, the saying is famous. In order to finish first, you must first finish. So I think for Thorpe tonight, he's looking to be able to do both.
Thorpe finally clears for the lead, but Lacey immediately hops back down to the inside. So Thorpe goes from offense to defense, and now we get to see what he can do from that outside groove as Lacey trying to drag it up to the door. Won't get there, though. In turns 1 and 2. Nick Nickerson is down in the pit road, and it's a long stop. I think the 2's got a penalty for speeding.
Not a good way to start the second round of green flag pit stops, that's for sure. That's going to be a lap down for him at least, but we were talking about how slow it is entering pit
way
speed.
too hot. Way too hot.
You think at a track like this, when you're coming in so fast that it's like 45, 55 mile per hour pit speed, and then it's 35, and then you're just not ready for that. So I think Nick Nickerson just falling victim to the extremely slow pit speed at Dover.
Kevin Foster also down and into pit road. Nick Nickerson just now finding his way out of the pits. He has now dropped himself 4. He has 4 laps down now, at risk of going 5 down. It's a huge penalty and a huge time loss if you make that mistake here. Brian Dees and Kevin Foster both into pit road. Foster just left pit road. He is 2 down. You're guaranteed to lose at least 1 lap, if not 2, whenever you come down to pit road. Seeing where Brian Dees is going to exit out, while Scott Schurer and Dalton Kilroe going side by side for 8th.
Schurer and Kilroe going side by side. Schurer takes it, looks like, with relative ease, but Kilroe's making the switch back to try and get back underneath him as he's riding his bumper going into turn number 1, but it looks like Schurer may have gotten his composure back and may take off with this position of, let's see here, trying to see which position this is in.
8th and 9th.
8th and 9th, yeah.
All the while, a scrap is ongoing for 3rd as well. Michael Ashmore, you see him just fresh out of pit road. Kilroe just came down in the pit road for his first green flag stop of the evening. And we're about to see a lot of the guys that are fresh tires start to make their own runs down into the pit road too within the next 10 laps here. So they, of course, are able to go out a little bit longer on fuel, but seeing a lot of the guys on old tires coming down the pit road tells you that the guys on fresh rubber are not too far behind. Oh boy, what happened to Ashmore? Ashmore really slow in the back straightaway. I think he's found the wall.
I'm curious to see what's going on here. Can't tell if he just wanted to get off the road early because he's coming down to take some tires and he saw that big train of cars coming off behind him. So maybe, yeah, I think he's just slowing up because he saw a huge train of cars coming off by him. He was trying to be safe entering into the pits. So he knows that he's not going to be contending for any race wins tonight, so he's just trying to stay out of the way.
I mean, that car looks like it's been killed.
That's true. He could also be facing some of that right front tire damage too, which would make him a little tight.
There's no damage on this car here, and he's at speed, so right there, he found the outside wall, and that broke the car immediately. So he hit that at just the right spot, I think, to knock the right front toe out.
Yeah, he's going to be fighting a tight car now unless he uses that fast repair to try and get that car back up to speed, as we got Dalton Ping looking to the inside of Hilbrands for third position.
Oh, Ping getting into the door of the 92 Mopar as they work out of turn number 2 and down the back chute. The pair of Dodges trying to lunge right down to the turn number 3 and 4. Contact again between them as Hilbrand's being muscled up the track and wide. Ping just hangs on to the bottom lane. This all the battle for third on pace alone as Dustin Ping shoots onto the podium.
Dustin Ping's got a lot of good speed tonight. I'm interested to see if he can catch the first two, as they have now opened a gap of 5.7 seconds on between first, second, and third. So we'll have to see if Dustin Ping's the guy that can chase down those leaders, because right now they're riding off into the sunset.
Driving off into the sunset, but still with quite a bit of time left to see if they can make that gap up. It has been a very intense battle right now for pretty much everybody so far in this field, and you do have to wonder, you know, when are we going to see this shoe drop? When will we be seeing these drivers kind of have those moments as, oh my goodness, again, a huge look, and that, I think, is Steve Ulrich that is slow against the outside.
Steve Ulrich getting ready to take on Gibson, and it is going to be a tough task for him to be able to catch him at this point. So it looks like these guys are kind of settling out a little bit, as Dustin Ping's got a nice little gap on. Ulrich's
car is
Ulrich. Yeah, I was going to say, as Ulrich began a little spin there on the front stretch, but there's a lot of horsepower for these cars too, so it doesn't take a ton to get those cars wiggling, even on this front stretch.
Well, Ulrich going to make that look to get down to pit road. I don't think he is totally happy with how that machine is running right now either. So Ulrich is down and into the pits. Tony Hilbrand's, Dustin Ping, Connor Gibson, the three tightest drivers right now on the racetrack, as Thorpe and Lacey separated by about half a second. And in fact, coming to pit road, and oh boy, Lacey into the back of Thorpe as they hit pit road.
That'll be interesting to see if that little bump by Lacey into Thorpe would actually cause some sort of speeding penalty. I don't think it's going to be the case, but man, it is really hard to get down to that speed of 35 miles per hour after you're busy flying around this track.
Lacey's got to be careful because Thorpe's pit stall is first. As Thorpe will make his way down to pit road, and Lacey will be in just behind. No dramas getting into the pit stalls. Expecting 4 tires at fuel here from both. Tony Hilbrand is also in. Justin Ping inherits the race lead as pit road getting to be a busy place.
Yeah, the pits are starting to pick up a little bit, as Thorpe had a nice little run coming out of that pit stall, so he'll take the spot back from Benjamin Lacey coming around the corner. But Lacey's going to try to make it a race out of pit road, so we'll have to see if he's able to pull that off. It looks like he kind of backed off a little bit there and is able to fall in behind, as Wareham's down on the inside of the track.
He missed pit road altogether. He's trying to get into pit road and he can't get there. He's into the pit wall now. struggling to get that car righted. He is trying to keep it down off the racetrack, but finally the yellow flag will come out. That will have been a manually thrown yellow at that, right at the halfway mark to boot. He'll make it into pit road. I think race control was trying to find a way to let him get down to pit road. They did give him a few seconds, but after a certain amount of time, give it up, right? It's not going to happen. So this is going to help out Ty Marasco big time. This caution should save him from going down a couple laps.
Wow, a very timely pit stop for him as well. So he's probably very thankful that that happened, and it's also, I'm sure, quite embarrassing for him, for Wareham to be, facing that inside pit lane wall there. It's he got caught on the live broadcast, just missing it. It's so hard to get down to speed here.
And he in fact did find the pit wall as well, right on board. And I mean, you'll listen in as he's going to be trying to lock it down here. Oh, that wheel hop. And honestly, I think he should have gone around. He was never going to make pit road at that speed. That best choice there would have been to go around. And I mean, I guess he's out of pit road now, but he's going to have an end of the long time penalty. That's going to hurt him big time. And then this is going to be Benjamin Lacey coming down into pit road when he got into the back of Michael Thorpe Jr. Man, Thorpe barely made it to pit road himself.
That was a great job by him to get as much speed as humanly possible to get into pit lane, and almost cost him. I think Thorpe even helped him a little bit slow down. So I'm glad that neither one of those guys got a penalty from that, because they've been racing so great out on the track tonight.
Ty Marasco is going to be coming down into pit road, understandably so. He was last pitting on lap 51. Dustin Ping now going to be the race leader. We'll be back in a moment with a lot of cars having to stay out to keep on the lead lap. Lights are out aboard the iRacing pace car. Zachary Wareham, you see him slowing on the back straightaway. Wareham has been given an end of the longest line penalty for causing this latest incident, which is why you see him so slow on the racetrack. Only two cars are side by side in what is de facto a single file restart, because everyone outside of third had to get waved around. We're into the restart zone. The green flag is not out. as the lights are on the pace car, but the pace car is in the pits. So this is going to be interesting then to see how this gets handled.
Yeah, and the lights are now out on the safety car. So where are they going to go park it, or is he coming back out?
It is going to come back out. That is the procedure here. It'll pick up the leaders once again. So the field does not have to go around. The leaders have to slow down enough to allow the pace car to get in front. And I'm willing to bet the reason why the yellow got extended there was because Zachary Wareham was so slow in the back straightaway that it forced that yellow to be extended because it thought he was on the racing line and it stopped and crashed, which is why we see it coming back out just for one lap. It'll be back in 3, and I don't think we're going to have any sort of problems. But now, Marasco's supposed to be doubled up with Ping, and he's not, although he's getting there.
Such an odd turn of events for this, but hopefully we can get that pace car off the track and get these guys running once again.
Well, you know what they say, right? It's always an entertaining race when you have a situation like this. As Ping gonna work his way back out. Marasco will be right behind him. We're into the restart zone. Green flag is in the air, question mark. I believe we are good to go, but that whole situation has broken our timing overlay. So I promise you Dustin Ping is in the race lead ahead of Michael Thorpe Jr. Time Marasco dropping back through the field.
Very good jump by Ping, and Thorpe right on his tail. So we'll have to see if Ping and Thorpe are going to come into contention. I know Ping's been really fast all night tonight, but he's also been stuck behind some guys. So I'm interested to see his clean air speed as he comes out of turn number 2.
We're going to get our timing tower situation resolved there as the field works down the back straightaway. Pretty much everybody back onto the same tire strategy, give or take a few odd laps. So we shouldn't see anything too crazy in terms of the tire strategies for now. I'm curious to see what Thorpe's going to be able to do, as he's no doubt going to be looking to run down Ping for that race lead.
Yeah, Ping and Thorpe are guys that have been together side by side before, but we all know and just talked about how Thorpe is one of those guys that's not content with the position he's sitting in. So if he's going to find that, if he gives them that little tiny opening, he's going to definitely want to take it. So we'll have to see if he can build that gap like he's doing now.
Well, and Ping, actually, kind of thinking about this now, Ping actually is running away from Thorpe here and realizing now that Ping's actually got the freshest tires out of anybody in this field. 2 laps fresher than Thorpe. Because he came down 2 laps later than Thorpe, he left pit road right when the caution came out before Thorpe could retake the lead from him, which is why he was given that race lead when the caution came out.
Yeah, so the caution timing could not have been any better for Dustin Ping, and obviously he's showing right now as he's now built over a 1-second gap on Thorpe and Lacey.
But now you have to wonder how much is he burning up those tires, because you can gain a lot early on, but Dover is a track where tire conservation is really big, especially if you're going to be having yourself with a long green flag run, which looks to be the norm for the high tide racing.
I agree with that. Tires have been a huge factor in all of these races we've seen so far, and it looks like Hilbrands has got a nice little gap on this pack that he's beginning to lead right now. And right in front of him, he has Ty Marasco that seemed to have dropped off about 3.5 seconds since the green flag has dropped.
Brian D's slipping back to the mid-pack as well. He is right now struggling to hang on to 9th. He's got Jason Greenwell looking to his inside for 10th. As Greenwell going to fire through, your Texas winner now back up into the top 10, and boy, sure, with a huge step out through turn 2. Brian D's able to get it back underneath, able to battle back around the outside. Zachary Wareham going to drop back, and Brian D's is struggling. And the reason why, he last pit on that lap 60, he did not come down under this caution. His tires 10 to 14 laps older than the rest of the pack.
It's going to be really hard to keep pace with these guys with that old of tires. Tires just seem to wear out really quickly on this track as he checks the wall coming out of 2.
Checks the wall there coming off 2, and then meanwhile, Hilbrands and Gibson are running 3rd and 4th. Sorry, I don't know what I'm talking about. 5th and 6th. Where am I looking? I'm thinking earlier in this race as Hilbrands see if he can hang on to that top 5 and maybe muster enough of a charge to try to gun him for the podium. Connor Gibson still hovering around just in the wings. And again, we're seeing a lot of this field starting to single file it out early on and looking to try to drive against the track and see if they can pull away. Thorpe starting to reel Ping back in.
Yeah, Thorpe and Ping are gonna probably come in contact here pretty soon, and you got Lacey just a half a second behind Thorpe, so it may be a 3-car battle for the lead once again coming into lap number 90.
Ping was gaining about a quarter of a second for the last several laps, but now look at the last 3. Thorpe really steadily started to reel that gap back in. Ping burning up a lot of his equipment early on was exactly what Thorpe was hoping for as the work off of turn 4 and down to the front straightaway, looking like this could be a good time then for Thorpe, about even on the lap times that last time by. Just behind them, you've then got Dalton Kilroad. We got side-by-side battles in the mid-pack from about 5th on back. Kilroad to the inside of Williams.
Kilroad looked to the inside of Williams. Williams was not able to, or was not going to secede that position, and Williams now looking onto the inside of Gibson. So Williams also trying to make some moves here on the track. So we'll have to see if these 3 guys start closing up the gap a little bit and try and get this position locked down right behind Hilbrand's.
Tony Hilbrand sits a bit further up the road as well. And all of these drivers all trying to see who can find that absolutely key line. And it's a line that is constantly moving around at this racetrack. It is very much not a static line. As in fact, Tony Hilbrand is going to miss the mark. Sean Williams gets around to the inside of him. Connor Gibson looking to follow through. Could this spell the end of Hilbrand's top 5 campaign?
Yeah, Hilbrand seemed like he's pretty quick out the gate, but it seems like his long run pace is not quite up to speed. So we'll have to see if it's going to be if he's going to be a rock that's sinking here, or if he'll be able to see if he can balance out those tires a little better going into the later part of this stint.
I want to make a quick apology to somebody in this field. I completely forgot. We've been saying Scott's last name wrong this entire time. I was trying to make a mental note of that before, and I kept this whole time thinking, what have I been forgetting? And now I remember it's Shire, not Schuer. So apologies to Scott Shire in that number 4 Ford Mustang for the mispronunciation on his name for throughout the last few hours or so. So yeah, Scott Shire in the number 10 car. We've only been saying it wrong for about a season and a half. But hey, better late than never. The Ford car will have that name rectified as he's right behind Kilroe and Greenwell.
Yeah, you forget about that extra E in there. If that E before the U was not there, it'd probably be Sure, but I guess it's Shire because of that extra E. So I guess when you get it. Yeah, exactly. So when you get these international drivers, or even even if he is American, there's quite a bit of diversity in there, and so you get some unique names, and we definitely try our best to pronunciate them, and sometimes you get the sneak attack names.
Kilroe grinding the outside wall all the way down the front straightaway. That's going to rip that right side apart on that 41 machine. You see how much it's been scraped up. I mean, the right side of that car has seen better days. We'll get a good look at it here when he comes back around to the front straightaway through turn 4. But look at that right front in particular. That thing is not looking pleasant. And whoa, boy, Greenwell, where are you going, sunshine?
Yeah, Greenwell giving up 2 positions really quick there. He obviously was not comfortable coming out of that corner. Ooh, big wall check. Yeah, there you go. And probably some right front wheel damage as well, so he might be struggling with a tight handling car after he hit the wall pretty tough there.
I feel like not comfortable with this car out of turn 4 is a little bit of an understatement in regards to that.
Yeah, I wouldn't be comfortable with the car if I checked the wall that hard either, coming out of that corner. But I guarantee you I wouldn't have made it this many laps without checking chucking the wall as hard as that myself. So I commend these guys for being able to keep this nice and tight racing and being able to monster these cars around this track.
49 laps to go at the line. We're into the final third of this race, and in terms of strategy, we still have one pit stop left for us, but at this point you are good to go to the end. So curious if we're going to be seeing any drivers trying to make an undercut call here. Tony Hilbrands takes it to the inside of Sean Williams, and Connor Gibson looking to follow right through as the 89 going to drop 2 in the span of 1 lap. Up the road, Ping has fallen back to Thorpe.
Ping finally using up all his tires there. I think he's getting ready to hope for a caution or hope for some sort of ability to make a green flag pit stop here, because his tires are pretty well shot at this point. As Thorpe's looking to start making his move around the outside. I don't think he's going to quite get it here, but coming up here in the next lap or two, I can really see these guys going side by side.
And this is allowing for Lacey to start to reel this gap in as well back to Thorpe. Remember how hard they were duking it out with each other earlier in this race, back in the first half. Could we see round 2 start to kick off? Thorpe trying to lunge for it down in the turn number 3 as Dustin Ping hanging on to the inside line for now. Both of them sideways out of 4.
Starting to get sketchy for these guys. I think they're getting to see these worn tires, and I think they're both really trying to push hard. I think clean air is probably the most valuable asset, as it looks like Thorpe's going to the inside of Ping right through turn number 3.
Side by side for the race lead, but Dustin Ping still hanging on to the top shelf. Not going to matter. Thorpe is back to the point, as Lacey could not catch Thorpe before he cleared Dustin Ping. Now Lacey's got a lot of work ahead of him, as he's got to do the exact same work, even though he's reeled in about 3/10.
Yeah, I think Ping at this point is just going to have to hang on until he can get down to the pit lane here, because I think Lacey has also done a great job to be able to conserve his tires up until this point. But he's still got about 0.4 of a second to make up before he can get Ping into his sights. So probably another lap or 2, and that'll give Thorpe Jr. time to be able to get some clean air under him.
Then you got Hilbrands, Gibson, Williams, and Scott Shire all in a line right behind each other. Several cars in the pit road include Kilroe, Dees, Foster, Nickerson, all down to the pits for the final time tonight with just 43 laps to go. So final round of green flag stops kicking off. This is the money stops right here at Dover.
Yeah, these engineers are starting to begin to calculate the end run here for the final stop. So where do you want to go? Do you want to get out down there early, get some fresh rubber early, and try and set yourself up for a position for a green flag run? Or do you want to try and bank on a caution? So we're beginning to see how these engineers are thinking and what strategy they're going to go with to try and get their driver to the end of the race.
Drivers slowly but surely working their way out of pit road. This is going to be a wild final 40 laps. And again, going to show why Dover is such a phenomenal racetrack. I got to be honest, I was not a Dover fan when I first really got into NASCAR. I was not a fan of the track. I didn't get it at all. I really do get it, though, after years and years of commentary, and especially over the last few weeks, right? And even in these cars, it's so easy to see why so many people love this place. Dover is an infuriating track to drive, but it is so satisfying when you get it right, and the racing is nothing short of spectacular, especially when you got battles with the lead like the one between Ping, Thorpe, and Lacey.
Yeah, Ping looking back down to the inside. I thought for sure Thorpe was going to have the ability to ride off into the sunset with how Ping's worn his tires out, but Ping is looking back to the inside of Thorpe to try and get that position back, because he wants to be at the top step of the podium again for the first time so far this season, I believe.
And then, of course, don't forget Benjamin Lacey hanging around just in the wings as well. Could we see 3 wide? Not this time. Thorpe manages to pull clear from Ping. Just behind Scott Shire, going to get around Sean Williams. That was in the battle for the number 7 position. And you can tell Lacey is starting to turn up the wig.
Lacey putting pressure on both these guys. It'll be interesting to see, because now you want, as Ping, you don't want the guy in front of you and a guy behind you putting pressure on both the front and the rear end. So you're really going to try and push harder to try and get in front of Thorpe to make sure that you keep both those guys behind you. But we'll have to see here if Lacey's going to go ahead and try and be aggressive. I know earlier on in the race when he was going alongside Thorpe, he wanted that clean air as well. So we'll have to see if he can get around the inside of Ping to make himself in contention for this first place spot.
There's still 36 laps to go at the line. That is a very long time to go in this race. And a lot of these drivers right now, they are, I think, keeping it in their minds, right? We still got one stop left for us here in this race. How eager are we really to try and battle that with one another? Or do we want to try to just go hard because we know we have to come down to the pits one more time? The big thing that I'm wondering, are we going to be seeing anybody trying to gamble on fuel only?
That's a good question. I would be interested to see if that's anybody's strategy call, because as the tires are degrading, it'll be really hard at the end to be able to keep up with the pace of the track and all your competitors out there on fresher rubber. So I think most people are probably going to decide to go to get those tires at this point. But somebody may have a trick up their sleeve to try and use that as an advantage to get themselves a few more positions.
Ping made a look for the lead in turn one last time by, and he's looking for it again. But right now, you see Thorpe right now, he's taking that high to low line. That is the same line that Thorpe was taking when he was trying to attack Benjamin Lacey for the lead earlier on. And it is serving him super well on defense. Yes, he opens up the door a little bit to the inside, but so long as he can carry the momentum through and he diamonds back down the corner, Ping's just not able to get there. But right now, you got Dalton Kilwer and Brian Dees. Now, these drivers are 2 laps down, but they're trying to only be 1 down. The problem is they got the battle for the lead right in front of them. Kilwer's got to be careful here.
This is going to be tough for these guys to get around these worn tires, but right now you have Ping and Thorpe going too wide, and there's not really room for a third lane around here, but looks like Kilroe's going to use that outside line from Thorpe to try and get that position back, get that lap back.
Kilroe only down 1 lap now. That has guaranteed him to be up several positions now when he comes back out of pit road. Meanwhile, Scott Shire, Connor Gibson, Sean Williams also embroiled in the battle of their own for 6th through 8th. It's about the same distance right now as the battle for 1st through 3rd, and it is just as intense further down in the pack here as well.
Yeah, Shire, Gibson, Williams doing a great job tonight to keep that battle nice and tight for 6th. You know, a good points haul regardless. It may not be a podium so far for them, but hey, if you could take those top 10 finishes, that really sets you up for a good playoff shot later down in the season.
Ty Marasco down into pit road by his lonesome. As Connor Gibson starting to draw back from Sean Williams. So Marasco will make his final stop of the afternoon right at the 30 laps to go mark. All the while, Ping continuing to try to get around Thorpe, and still as drivers trying to get around him, like Kevin Foster just behind. Foster going to have to go to the inside of Ping. That's a bold call, though. Ping going to go out wide, and oh, look out, oh no! Thorpe gets taken out by a lap car, and the caution is out. Spins it around, goes for a 360 slide. He'll get it back rolling. And I think Michael Thorpe just saved that car from a lot of damage, but that has just costed him the lead in a huge way.
Yeah, once again, Michael Thorpe experiencing woes that he has had to deal with so far this season. Like I was saying before, I don't think a lot of the issues that he's into this season has been his fault so far. Just a victim of every single circumstance that have come out of these races. But it's severely under speed. I wonder if he was trying to go in for a pit lane entry there, and that guy on newer tires was...
I think he was. Look at how far low he is. He's trying to come to pit road. Lacey was about to come to pit road as well. And that yellow flag came out. That is just unfortunate timing.
Oh, yeah, because the 8, obviously, at that point had already been to... Kevin Foster had already been to pit lane, so he wasn't even beginning to think about the fact that the guys in front of him still had to go. So he was just trying to race his race and get his lap back. So,
Dustin,
yeah, like you said... unfortunate timing for them.
Dustin Ping is almost guaranteed to get out of pit road with the lead. You saw how huge the gap was back to Benjamin Lacey when he came down to pit road because of the amount of lap cars between them. So Dustin Ping is going to most certainly re-inherit the race lead, and this is going to take pretty much everybody in for fresh fuel and tires. What a save, though, from Michael Thorpe Jr. as he loops that car around. Unsurprisingly so, everybody's going to be back onto the racetrack, and Dalton Kilroe on tires that are 20 laps old takes the lead. We'll see if he'll come down to pit road this next time by. One more look here at what happened to Thorpe. And that is just... I was so ready to jump on Kevin Foster there with thinking you got to be aware that you're coming up on a car that's a lot faster than that. But when you're coming down to pit road like that, Foster can't correct up high because Ping's up on his outside. That was just the wrong place, wrong time.
Yeah, I agree with that, and yeah, it's really hard when you have that much difference in speed when a guy is trying to enter pit lane out of turn number 3 and 4 right there. So yeah, like you said, it just, you can't really correct that in that amount of time. It's just huge reflexes that would be pretty astronomical to expect out of somebody. I can't really blame him too much for that. It just, once again, bad luck for Thorpe, and I think he'll be able to make up for it. But it's definitely going to cost him a lot more time than he had expected so far this race.
Third caution on the day. We'll restart this race with 25 to go. We'll be back in a moment on Green Flag TV. Kind of resetting the order here as we get set to go back to Green Flag Racing. Right now, 11 cars remain on the lead lap. And as it stands, there is 13 left on the racetrack. Lacey, Ping, Hilbrand, Gibson, Shire, and Williams round out the top 3 rows. Michael Thorpe Jr. getting turned by Kevin Foster for this latest yellow flag. He is still in 7th, critically, with an undamaged race car.
It's going to be a tough task for Michael Thorpe to get up to the front, but we've seen a lot of speed from him tonight. And a couple of these guys here seem to be a little bit further off pace from him, so I think he can make quick work from about 3 of them. But getting all the way back up to the top step of the podium is going to be really hard for him. But I think anything's possible, so we'll just have to see what he's got in his belt to be able to get back up there, as Ping gets a nice jump on Benjamin Lacey going into turn number 1.
Further behind, we're already double file for second on back. Hilbrand's trying to battle it out with Benjamin Lacey as they work it down in the turn numbers 3 and 4. Hilbrand's to the inside, Lacey up on top, and Gibson trying to battle for third down to the bottom.
Gibson looking to put his name in the ring for tonight. We'll have to see if he has that pace underneath him, or if it's going to be those 2 guys taking off into the sunset here. So we got Shire and Williams battling it out, coming out there too, and they get into each other.
Hard
Shire
hit
and
oh, good grief. Sorry to cut you off there. A big hit, though, for Sean Williams.
Yeah, that was a big hit, and it looks like Shire's got some engine damage as well, so hopefully he's got a fast repair in his back pocket to be able to give him another chance. But hey, that's a couple more positions, free positions for Thorpe to be able to crawl his way back up to the lead.
Dustin Ping somehow set the fastest lap of the race on a lap when a caution came out. You don't see that every day. As Williams, I think, just came off the wall. Yep, just got loose and clobbers the 4, spins him hard into the inside wall. And then up the road, Sean Williams got into it pretty big as well. He got kicked up and into the air in his machine.
Not much you can do there as Shire as just a little bit of snap oversteer coming out of the corner. These cars have so much horsepower that getting that little bit of loose rear end, getting too much throttle application is very common in these cars. So not too much you can do in that situation other than go along for the ride and hope for the best outcome in the end.
That is a heavy lick into the inside wall. Kind of reminiscent almost of what happened to Carl Edwards back in 2016 off the same corner, hit the same place on the wall. This is with Williams. He tried to lift out of it, but it was just too late at that point, and then sliding down and kicked up from behind and nosed it hard into the inside wall as well. I think it was Nick Nickerson that went up and under him.
Yeah, Nick Nickerson has had a rough night tonight, back in 13th now, and one lap down so far. I don't think this is the night he was expecting to have, especially after that speeding penalty he got in the pits, and I'm sure this just added to the frustration for him tonight.
So Thorpe's back up to 5th, and we'll see if he'll be able to recover even further up the grid. He's got a bit of a better chance, but the drivers ahead of him are no slouches either, so it's going to be an intense drive to the end.
It will be, and now you have Michael Thorpe looking back into the picture, being in 5th place. Like I said, it's going to be a really tough ask for him to get all the way to the front, but now he's putting himself in position for a great podium finish. So we'll have to see if he's able to finish strong here. The only thing he's got to be concerned about is not to lose his own race. I think a couple of times so far this season, he's been overly aggressive coming out of those corners, which has caused him to get loose, or overly aggressive that's caused him to check into the wall. So if he can maintain his composure, drive the race that he's been driving so well so far tonight, I really think he has a shot to make one of those steps to the podium.
Coming up on Green Flag TV, it's a doubleheader truck day. Well, I guess you could call it Truck Day Tuesday for tomorrow on Green Flag TV. The TAGGIL Truck Series will be at the Talladega Super Speedway. Now, that is, of course, Saturday's race on a tape delay broadcast, and that will be live at 1 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. That will be followed up a few hours later by the OMSRL Truck Series finale at the Nashville Super Speedway. Then on Wednesday, the Beer League will swing out to the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. That random wheel really does love the track in Lexington, Ohio, as they'll swing out there this time early in the season instead of a finale at 9:20 p.m. on Wednesday night. So a lot and more coming up on Green Flag TV, including the VSCA back for their monthly race on this coming Saturday from COTA.
Some great tracks coming up on that schedule. Excited to see a few of them for sure. I know Beer League's always been one of my favorites from Green Flag TV, and to see them try and tackle Mid-Ohio is going to be a fun one.
They had their record-size field this past week, 53 cars at Virginia International Raceway South layout. It went about how you would expect. So if it's similar, oh boy, we're in for a show. Pace cars off in the meantime, 19 to go, as Dustin Ping will get set to lead us back to green.
We'll have to see how Dustin Ping does in this restart zone, and it looks like Hilbrand's got a little wiggle coming out of that corner as well, which will give the guys behind him enough time to be able to catch up as well as we go too wide right behind them. And Thorpe looking to get right in there too to possibly go 3 wide coming out of 2.
Tony Hilbrand's looking to the outside of Benjamin Lacey. Lacey hanging on to the inside. Caution is out again, and a big crash over in turn number 4. Scott Shire, Michael Ashmore, Sean Williams involved. Kevin Foster looks like got a piece of that as well. Big mess over there in the final corner.
We'll have to see, because it wasn't a Williams and Shire that just got into it last lap. Maybe there was a bit of frustration trying to be taken out on each other, or maybe it was just some unfortunate racing incident. We'll have to see here.
Marasco into the outside wall to the back straightaway. He was slow approaching turn 3. Oh, that directly impacted this. So Shire got hit by Williams, spun himself around, and then into the outside wall. Only to be, oh my goodness. Ashmore or Foster must have drilled Williams there. And then, of course, Foster then spun it back onto the racetrack in turn 4 as well, just at the pit entry. So yeah, Marasco was slow, and that checked up this whole field, and then it was Foster. Oh boy, it was Foster that kicked Williams skyward.
I think that's the second time that Williams tonight has had his rear end up in the air like that. So I'm sure that at this point he's probably feeling frustrated. It looks like he still had his damage from his previous incident. So I mean, he may still have that fast repair in his pocket, but Kevin Foster really took some damage there, as it looks like his left front wheel may have been totally destroyed on that incident.
Second time with that backing up in the air in just 2 cautions. Remember the last one, and then, I mean, goodness. I mean, that is all 4 wheels off the ground and right into the door of the 4 car. Nothing that Williams could do there. We're right on board with him, and you'll see exactly what I mean. I mean, there's not a lot that Sean Williams can do in this situation. I mean, he cannot see what Marasco's doing up there, and then just...
Yeah, usually that late in the straight, you're not expecting your opponents to check up like that. So I am not surprised. I would have definitely had the same issue if I were Williams in Williams' shoes.
Good grief! It's been an entertaining, I think, final few laps of this race. And you know the old adage, right? Cautions breed cautions, and boy, is that no further true than in the race we are seeing unfold right now at Dover.
Yeah, I think we went 1 caution in maybe the first 100 laps so far, and now we're talking 5th caution. So 4 cautions in just a handful of laps.
And every lap is 1 less lap that these drivers have to battle out on the racetrack, and that's going to be, no doubt, upping the aggression more and more and more. Dustin Ping, though, has been really good on getting away well in these restarts. If these cautions keep falling like this, all Ping's got to do is launch well, and he should be smooth sailing.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how Ping does with these restarts. Hopefully we can get a green flag finish here. But look who's sitting in 4th. It's Thorpe. So he's using these cautions to gain that position back ever so slowly. And we might actually see him up here contending with the lead once again as the clock winds down towards the end of this race.
Dustin Ping hunting for not just his first podium, but his first win. He, like Thorpe, has gone winless so far in high-type race league competition. His highest finishes were 2 4th-place finishes coming at Daytona and Las Vegas. Other than that, his only other 2 finishes within the top 10 were at Phoenix and Rockingham. He has finished outside of the top 10 for the other 4 races that he's competed in. So Dustin Ping looking to show he's got some top-end pace here this afternoon.
Yeah, I think he's my favorite to actually win tonight. I know I've been talking a lot about Thorpe and seeing if he can finish this win, but I really think that Dustin Ping's had a lot of great pace throughout the night tonight. The only struggle that he's really had was toward the end of those long runs, but we really won't get that, you know, with this run here coming down to the last 15 laps, because quite a few of them have been run under caution.
Pace car is into pit road, and we're ready to see if we'll be able to go for the rest of this race under green flag conditions. 14 to go. We're back to it. Oh,
Oh,
Ping gets
big
loose,
wiggle.
and he's turned by Hilbrands hard into the inside wall. They crash on the restart. Foster up into the air. They're stacking it up as they come down the front straightaway. Lacey and Thorpe now to first and second. I don't think there's ever more fitting of a commentator's curse than right there.
Yeah, I've been doing good so far this season, but I haven't been knocking on my wood this race, so I probably should have been, because now we are under that commentator's curse. Unfortunately for Ping and Hilbrands, they are the victims of that one. Just really loose coming out of that corner there. These tires are really cold and got a few laps of them now. That when you hit that gas pedal, it's going to cause that rear end to come out. And depending on what gear he was in, also, that could definitely have played another factor into causing him to spin right there.
Scott Shire kicking Kevin Foster up into the air. I think Sean Williams may have had a hand in that. I think Michael Ashmore made the smart call. Just lock it down, let them wreck it out. There's no point in totaling your own race car for something like this. Man, it falls apart on the front straightaway.
Yeah, poor Ping. I think he was really just trying to get a good jump there and have a good green flag finish. And once again, that loose condition caused him to spin out there. And then once again, poor Shire and Williams, they just can't seem to escape the issues that are plaguing them tonight.
Tony Hilbrands took a very hard lick into that inside fence as well. His day may very well be over as well. And Williams did get into the 8. Nickerson was able to lock it down, but nothing that the 8 could do as he got collected up in that mess. That was a huge hit for quite a few cars. It's just that wheel spin right. I mean, once you get in it from there, I mean, all Tony Hilbrands tried to do was slow it up, but I mean, he's got cars accelerating behind him, and if the leader spins the wheels, that's the result every day of the week.
Or I've seen that one too many times in iRacing events of the cars just getting loose after pacing for such a long time and getting cold tires and then going to restart and losing that rear end. So too bad for these guys, because they don't deserve to be struggling with those issues this late in the race. But Benjamin Lacey and Michael Thorpe are definitely thankful for that, because now they're looking at their potential chance for a win. And Connor Gibson as well, sitting in third place, I'm sure is extremely happy with where he's sitting at right now.
6th yellow flag on the afternoon and about the 3rd in the last 15 laps. We're going to jump back, and we'll be with you for the rest of this race in a moment.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Coming back to the green flag. 9 laps to go. Green flag is back in the air as Benjamin Lacey tries to hop to it. This time, nobody taking any chances on the restart. Greenwell very conservative. The top 3 already away by a few car lengths from 4th on back.
Great job controlling the restart here. Let's hope we can get some green flag running as we get towards the closing laps of this race. It looks like the people are going to try and dodge for positions now because quite a few people have been handed free positions through these past few cautions. As it looks like Thorpe's going down to the inside of Lacey going into turn number 1.
Trying to take that race lead away. Ding, ding, ding. Set up the bell for round number 2 as Thorpe trying to power around the inside of the 7 as they rip it down to the turn number 3.
Thorpe going down to the inside and Lacey not giving him much room to work with as he tried to close the door coming out turn number 4, and Thorpe getting a little loose coming out of the corner, driving it too hard to try and keep up with Benjamin Lacey. That's going to cost him about about a tenth of a second or so, as now Connor Gibson's looking to the inside of Thorpe. Will he get the chance, or will Thorpe try and catch back up to Lacey?
He has still got 6 laps to make it happen. Thorpe can close that gap in. He's just got to make sure that he hits his marks and makes these runs absolutely perfectly. Marasco put into the outside wall for a split second by Tony Hilbrands almost, as Hilbrand slams the door shut on the number 1. Single file doesn't work down the back straightaway.
Marasco looking to the inside again, but closed the door quick by Hilbrands, so he'll have to back off a little bit as he gets a little loose as he had caught the apron going down to that turn. And now he's going to lose a couple more spots as the drivers try and get around him to make up that time.
Scott Shire will duck around him. Jason Greenwell gets around him. Dustin Ping trying to fire through as your former race leader spun the tires on the last restart, and now trying to see if he can recover whatever spots he can muster with just 4 laps left to go. Oh, look out, Marasco sideways into the side of Ping. They're into the inside wall, spinning on the front straightaway. Caution's out. We're into overtime.
Yeah, once again, another victim of pushing the car too hard coming out of the corner. When you get that much throttle in that transition, it just wants to get that back end loose. So the patience it takes to try and get that throttle applied properly, and when you get overly aggressive, it causes that loose condition. And unfortunately for Ty Marasco and Dustin Ping, once again, somebody has become a victim of loose conditions exiting the corner.
And that critically could very well have saved Michael Thorpe Jr.'s race. We'll get to that in a moment, but for now, what happened coming off of turn number 4? Marasco gets loose. Down to the Dustin Ping, who is an innocent bystander. They both go into the inside wall. And Marasco will send them both fully around, and that brings the caution out for the 7th time tonight.
Yeah, Dustin Ping's day going from great to terrible in just a handful of laps. I know this is not the first race so far this season that he's just been a victim of many mistakes out on the track, and this is just another one of them. I remember at Auto Club Speedway there was a handful of times where he found himself just being a bystander of a couple of the incidents, and so once again he's gonna have to go to the back of the line and hopefully not have too much damage there and be able to continue to try and work his way back up again.
Pretty hefty licked into the inside wall for both of those cars. That's a weird way for Ping to be spun around. I mean, it's almost like with Marasco pushing on the front of that car. That's what really put that 81 around. But with all of that, Michael Thorpe Jr. still running in that second position. Benjamin Lacey is in the lead. Thorpe, though, was still about 0.3 of a second back coming to 3 to go. I don't think he was going to make it there. However, now that he's right up there with Lacey again, he's got another opportunity here to steal that lead away.
Yeah, and this time he's got to worry about his exit and making sure that he doesn't get too loose coming off that exit. That's what really cost him a lot of that time coming out of that last green flag cycle there, is because he got loose coming out of that corner, just getting a little too aggressive on that throttle, and it dropped him clear back into the sights of Connor Gibson. So if he can maintain that throttle discipline coming out of those corners, he can keep up alongside Benjamin Lacey and possibly get a chance to come up alongside him for the win.
We have 3 attempts at a green-white checkered finish, and this will be the first. So if we are able to make it around to the white flag, the race will be official. If we get a caution on the restart lap, we'll reset, we'll try it again. This was due to be the last lap this time around. We're going to go for 2, possibly 3 more here. You can feel that tension building on the racetrack as these drivers are already gaming out what their moves are going to be throughout the entirety of these last 2 laps.
You bring up a good point, because I was just sitting here thinking a lot of these guys that were up towards the front of the field, and you had some guys that have been struggling a little further back, have now gained those free spots because of attrition. So I'm thinking of one man's trash is another man's treasure as you look at some of these guys that have fallen a little further back, and now you got a couple of guys that were sitting further back in the race that are now looking to take a spot on the podium. One of the guys that comes to mind right now is Nick Nickerson. I know he's been in a few times tonight where he's been sitting in the back of the pack, and now here he is in 5th place. I think Connor Gibson's another guy that comes to mind, as he's also up 5 positions, and Brian Dees is up 6 since the beginning of the race.
And right now, Benjamin Lacey is the only driver in this top 3 that has a win under his belt this season. So this could get massive here.
Yeah, huge points haul in the books tonight for another person to be able to get the opportunity to jump a few points in the standings. I know Connor Gibson's right now is right at the edge of the playoff bubble. If not inside, he's just a little bit outside. I can't remember if it's 10 or 12 cars in this series, but he could definitely use the points tonight with the podium finish here.
It'll be a top 12 reset for a playoff elimination style format, but we'll get set to go. Green flag racing. One final time, potentially. There is still 2 more attempts if we need them. Pace cars down to the pit road. It's a green, white, checkered overtime run at the Dover Motor Speedway. Green flag up in the air. Thorpe already trying to see if he can set up that diamond line. Working through the top side of 1 and 2. Cutting back to the inside. Right to the back bumper. Lacey goes defensive. Down to the turn number 3. Thorpe still hanging on with that outside charge. 1 lap to go from the Monster Mile. This time by, they make it to the white flag. It's all up to Thorpe now. Does he go for the Hail Mary? Will we see a bump and run? Can Lacey hang on? Or will Thorpe take his first win since season number 1 in November? To the inside. Thorpe trying to send it down to turn number 3. Here we go. The 34 to the inside. They make contact in the middle of 4. Out of turn number 4. Down to the stripe. Drag race. They're both sideways. Bumping off each other. And I think Thorpe to victory lane. He's going to take his first win of season number 2, and in commanding fashion at that, bumping and banging against Benjamin Lacey in the 3rd and final round between the pair.
Wow, what an epic finish. This is probably one of the coolest finishes I've seen coming out of the High Tide Racing League so far this season. And both of those guys looking like Tokyo Drift coming out of those corners, sideways going down the start finish line. And what a photo finish by those guys. I cannot wait to see the replay to see how close this finish was.
What a battle that was right at the conclusion of this race. Michael Thorpe Jr. finally breaks that streak. His last win came at Darlington way back in November at the end of last season. And now he'll burn it down as a race winner in the Gen 4 cars. It's season number 2.
A guy that's overcome a lot of adversity this season. No top 5s, even though he's been top 5 at almost every single race this season. He's had no top 5 finishes. So to be able to come away with this win tonight must feel extra special for Michael Thorpe Jr.
He'll burn it down on the front straightaway as we're going to take a look back at that last lap charge down into turn numbers 3 and 4 on what was an absolute slugfest coming down to the line. We'll watch the entirety of that final lap again. Watch as Thorpe rips it out of turn number 4 to chase after Benjamin Lacey. This had to have been less than 100. Got the mother of all runs off of turn 2. Look for the inside into 3. Sent it down to 3 and 4. All-out drag race, beating and banging as they come over 4. They both got loose. They both overcorrected into each other. And in an all-out heat, that much is your margin of victory at the stripe. Cannot understate how tight of a battle that is.
Absolutely amazing to watch, and like I said, Thorpe really needed to control that throttle discipline in order to take that race win, and both of these guys really got into that throttle heavily coming out of 4, nearly costing both of them that race. And it looks like Kilrow even got a little slideways going out of that corner, but they were able to get it corrected just enough to be able to cross with their noses on the finish line, hip checking each other there. And then Thorpe once again getting sideways. Is look at this crossing the finish line.
That is reminiscent of 2003 between Ricky Craven and Kurt Busch when they were coming out of turn number 4 at Darlington. That is almost identical to that in terms of how that photo finish looks. And it's worth noting, up until about here, Lacey was in front the entire way through. So the fact that it was still that unbelievably close after all of this is nothing short of a miracle.
I agree, and Green Flag TV's got some sort of photo finish bug going on right now, as I believe this is our 3rd race where we've seen so far this week in the past 3 or 4 days where we've had to have photo finishes reviewing the standings here.
You're telling me, right? I mean, what an absolutely wild performance we had this afternoon. Take a rundown of your official post-race results. Let's see what that margin of victory was. 8 thousandths of a second. Got to be one of the closest finishes in HTRL history right there. We'll see Thorpe into victory lane with Dalton Kilrow in 3rd, Connor Gibson 4th, Nick Nickerson 5th, Hilbrands, Dees, Schuer, Foster, and Marasco round out the top 10.
Jason Greenwell finishing 11th with Dustin Ping in 12th. 13th was Sean Williams and Michael Ashmore in 14th. Zachary Wareham ended finishing up the night in 15th with Steve Ulrich 16th and Mike Massengill finishing 17th position.
What a crazy race that was. I mean, that was nothing short of absolutely spectacular. Let's take a rundown, and of course, we'll give a chit-chat here to all of the drivers that had a hand in making that finish as entertaining as it possibly could have been. We'll talk first and foremost with Michael Thorpe Jr. Michael, you came so close on so many occasions. The race that comes to mind immediately for me was Phoenix earlier in this season. You finally get redemption for that by taking an all-out slugfest of a win here at Dover. Walk us through that final lap.
Oh man, I don't know how I did that, man. It's crazy. I knew if I just try to set up Ben as much as I can, I was gonna get him. And oh man, it worked out. I knew I set him up good coming out of 2 to have to make do with the run I had. Then I just sent it and hoped it had stuck, and it stuck. And coming forward, we both got loose, and it was just a slugfest from there.
I kind of walked through the race as a whole. Obviously, it's been a tremendously huge race in terms of strategy this afternoon. And I know you were one of those drivers that was really looking to make the strategy work for you, and you were able to stay up at the front for the most of this race. But then, of course, you find yourself getting taken out trying to make that final pit stop. What went through your head when you got turned around?
I was just very angry because it was all planned out perfect. Because I knew all the other guys were off cycle and everything. It was perfect. Me and Warren were just talking about the entire time. They're saying, "Oh, we might get these guys," and if I didn't get turned right there, we would have got them for sure. But hey, we still got the win, so I'm not complaining too much. But definitely wasn't happy about it.
So what do you have to say now to all of the folks that might be looking to rival that race win as you become, I believe it's going to be the 8th different winner now of the season?
Hey, for the rest of my competitors, bring it on. Bring it on. I am ready for some more. But, oh man, I don't know what to say. This is crazy.
It was a wild finish for you here tonight, and hopefully it's not the last time we'll be talking to you here in the season. Congratulations on taking that first race win of the season. We'll see you when we go racing next week.
Thanks, guys.
Michael Thorpe Jr. finally ends the drought, and he is going to take his first race win of the season. Let's take a rundown and give a chit-chat here to Benjamin Lacey, the driver that comes up 8 thou short for second. And Josh, you're standing by with the runner-up.
Benjamin Lacey having another outstanding finish so far this season, but I'm sure it's not the finish that Why don't you just walk us through that final lap and how you were trying to keep Michael Thorpe at bay and how it came up a little short?
Oh, man. First of all, congrats to Thorpe. He was, I think, probably the fastest one all night, so, I mean, he deserved that one. But it was coming to that last lap, and I saw he got a good run up out of 2. So I was trying to just kind of hang there on the exit of the corner just so he couldn't get that momentum and try to kill that momentum. And couldn't hang in there long enough, and he ended up getting that run. And then from that point on, I said, okay, this is just going to be we're gonna be bumping doors here until the finish line comes through. So exactly what happened, and it made for an incredible finish.
Yeah, it was a beautiful finish to watch as a spectator for sure. I know I'm probably going to go back and watch that replay yesterday after how much fun it was to see. Kind of walk us through your strategy throughout the race. It kind of seemed like it was all over the board with different people and different strategies, but what's kind of your guys' mindset as you were going through the race on how you wanted to approach this finish?
The whole race I was just going to try to manage tires best I possibly could. I don't feel like I did a great job tonight. I just didn't seem like I'd ever find what it was to save. Every time I'd go through and just check what it was, I was like, my goodness, it's burning everything up. So tires were they were of prime condition. They were great. They were of great value. So if you had fresh tires, you're going to be running through the field. So that was kind of the mindset, and stay up toward the front if you can, and go with it. So that's kind of where my strategy was, and run it dry, and then try to short pit probably toward the end. But then we had a caution coming out, so that kind of changed the game. And then from there it was stay out in front of the wrecks.
Yeah, it seemed like that strategy ended up paying off for you. And I guess the next question is, who do you want to thank for your outstanding race that you had tonight?
Oh yeah, we got Real Earth Films. Check them out, realearthfilms.org, and then Filming the Wild, which is a YouTube channel, so you can go Filming the Wild. So youtube.com/Filming the Wild, and check out some of their content as well. And Real Earth Films actually did do some releasing here of a film up in about the Wolverines up in like Northwest or something like that. So go ahead, check it out, realearthfilms.org, and on their videos you can see some links and stuff to go watch it, ways to find it. And I appreciate Josh, you, and Nolan here in the booth, man. It's always a pleasure to go back and listen and watch, and all the admins here in the league. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, thanks, Benjamin, for participating in this league with us, and congratulations once again on your second place finish. I'll definitely have to check out that Real Earth Films segment tomorrow when I have a little more free time on my hands. But congratulations once again, and look forward to speak to you again in the future.
Likewise.
Next up, we have Dalton Kilrow in third place tonight that will be standing by with Nolan. Take it from here.
Dalton, you're able to come home the final step on the podium, and you had that front row seat to what has got to be, I think, one of the wildest finishes this league has ever seen in its history. But it's a very solid third place for you, +4 in the afternoon. Kind of walk us through the ups and downs.
Yeah, first off, hi. It's been a while since I've talked to y'all.
Sure has.
I'm glad I was able to get back up here. I was kind of hoping those guys would do that maybe half a lap sooner, and I could kind of slide in there and make a 3-wide move, take the lead, and maybe luck into one. But no, I'm just glad to come away with a clean race, good finish, and just put on a good show. And I mean, obviously, I wish we didn't have so many cautions there towards the end, because the long runs we had were really good. So I feel like those cautions really kind of hurt it. But hey, I mean, the finish almost makes up for it.
Overall, the strategy game was huge today, as we've already heard from drivers like Michael Thorpe. Kind of walk us through what the strategy game was like for you tonight, because it looked like for a lot of the drivers, it was a bit of indecision as to what to go for, especially early on.
Yeah, that first caution, we were on the fence of taking tires there or not. I did a good job just pretty much all night, just kind of saving my stuff there. I almost didn't even want to take my last set of tires, but I'm glad I did, because I mean, from when I had pit under green there for what I thought was going to be the final time, my tires hardly wore out at all. So I was still, I still had plenty of juice left in them. But you know, that taking the fresh set was probably what it was able to keep me ahead of the 2 there, with like 10 to go. But yeah, it was just deciding when you want to take tires. I knew me and Brian were. We were trying to figure things out and maybe short pit a little bit early, save our stuff, and go from there. Just cautions kept coming during the green flag run, so it was a little annoying, but hey, end of the day, it worked out. So I will gladly take it.
It's a very long race coming on up 1 week from now when we run down to the legacy version of Pocono for 80 laps. What will we be seeing from you when we get set to run down to the Tricky Triangle?
I am ready for this. Pocono is like one of my favorite tracks. Some people I race with call me absolutely insane for thinking that, but I always tend to run well at Pocono, especially in cars like this. So keep an eye out.
So the strategy then, I assume, is not to go barrel rolling down the long pond straight on the last lap of a green white checker.
Don't remind me about that, okay? I'm trying to keep that whole race redacted in the back of my brain, along with a couple other tracks. But yeah, other than that one, I run pretty well.
Sounds like a plan. Well, I'll hold you to that one, and I will mock you in the voice chat later if we don't see you on the podium that next week. I think that's only fair.
I swear to God, no. That's gonna be a card on the cards game before the race. Oh God.
Well, thank you so much, Dalton, for taking the time to join us here tonight. Congratulations on taking that third place finish. We'll see you next week in the Keystone State.
Sounds good.
And that is going to do it for our podium interviews here tonight. Holy Toledo. What a monumental drive that was for everybody here in this one. I think that has got to be one of the wildest races I think we have ever seen on Green Flag TV. And it's only going to get crazier throughout the season, right? If this is what it's like in just the regular series seasons race, what's it going to be like when we reach the playoffs?
Yeah, I mean, look how many races we've done so far this season, and only one guy has been able to pull off more than one win, and only one more. So we're now 9 races in with 8 different winners. It's just astronomical to think. So this race tonight was just the epitome of how great this season's been so far for the High Tide Racing League. And I'm really looking to see what's coming up, because if it's been so good so far this season, we're in for an even better treat come playoff time.
We certainly are, and with all of that, that's going to bring tonight's racing action to a close. When we return on Green Flag TV, it is going to be tomorrow afternoon for the tape-delayed broadcast of the Team GGIL Truck Series of Saturday night's Talladega race. And then, of course, we'll be back in the evening with the Almost Around Truck Series for their season finale. The Beer League swings out to the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. That and so much more is going to make for a packed schedule on the channel with shows almost every single day of the week. From us here for the Monster Mile, my name is Ola Rempel alongside Josh Baer. Thank you, everybody, for taking the time to join us here this afternoon. If you want to find out more about who we are and what we can offer you, you can check us out today at www.greenflagtv.com. We'll see you next week when we go racing in the Keystone State.